The chair recognizes the gentleman from Illinois, Mr. Roskam, for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. You know, an interesting thing happened when President Obama was elected in 2008. We basically had a national consensus about some elements of health care. And what I mean by that is most people recognize two things about our health care system that were flawed. First, they recognized that it was too expensive. And second, they recognized that people with a pre-existing condition should be included and not be excluded from an insurance pool. And there was a great deal of consensus around that. And that's where the opportunity was for the Obama team to bring the country together around those two core themes. But instead, they did something different. Instead, they went out on a highly partisan path, and that was to create Obamacare. And we were told that the bill had to be passed in order to understand what was in it, and so forth and so on. And we're familiar with the false premises and the false claims and the false narratives about it. Do you remember this? We were told that if you liked your doctor, you got to keep your doctor. If you liked your insurance coverage, you got to keep your insurance coverage. Your insurance policies, the premiums per family were going to drop by over $2,000 a year. None of that turned out to be true. None of it. People lost their coverage. People lost their physicians. Their premiums have gone up. And so now what has happened, there's been this effort, and the effort over the past several years has been met by some mockery from some who have said, hey, your efforts to repeal Obamacare, how many times are you going to do it? You know how many times we're going to do it? We're going to do it until it gets done, and now it's closer than ever. So I've got three constituents that I want to briefly mention to you. One is a fellow that I connected with on the phone last night. His name is Jay. Jay told me that notwithstanding the false promises of Obamacare, his insurance premiums for him and his daughter have skyrocketed to the point where the amount of anxiety that he was communicating to me on the phone was palpable. This is not somebody who's just upset about the direction that the country has gone under this false claim of Obamacare, but he is fearful of it, and he's anxious for his future and the future of his daughter. Or how about Diane, my other constituent, who's a 9-year breast cancer survivor who is told if you like your doctor, you get to keep your doctor, until all of a sudden her insurance policy after Obamacare kicks her physician out of the group and she doesn't have access to doctor that has cared for her and kept her cancer free for 9 years. Or how about the small business owner who I met with on Monday in Kane County, Illinois, who said, Congressman, we would really like to expand our business. We want to open up a new location. It was a restaurant. But if we do it, we've done the math, and it's going to cost us $150,000 a year in Obamacare payments, and we can't afford to expand. And so here's what we've got to do. We've got to repeal this thing, and we've got to replace it and get back to those two core themes that says, let's deal with the underlying cost drivers in health care that make it more expensive than people can afford, and we can do that. And let's deal with the pre-existing condition question, and we can do that through high-risk pools and other things that don't cost the trillions of Obamacare. Now, there's an interesting thing that's been happening, and that's this. The story of Obamacare is shifting. And you ask, well, how is it shifting? It's shifting in this way. It's shifting because we've been told there's no way to undo this. There's no way. It is basically orthodoxy in our country. It's an entitlement, which it is, and it is so deeply embedded that it's all a fait accompli. In other words, there's no way to undo this. For a long time, that appeared to be true, although it wasn't true. It appeared to be true, because the Senate blocked its passage. But now, as we know, the other body has actually preceded us in this, and through the reconciliation activity, we're now able to avoid the 60-vote threshold, and a simple majority of United States senators can join with a majority of the United States House of Representatives, which I would argue is reflecting a majority of the American public to say, get this thing off our backs. Let us flourish. Yeah, we can deal with these things. Yeah, healthcare needs improving. But this thing on our backs is simply smothering us. So here's the opportunity. This will be on President Obama's desk. Will he veto it? Absolutely. But it's the first time it's ever gotten on his desk before. And what it says is this, that there is only one office between us and the repeal of Obamacare. One office is between us and the repeal of Obamacare. And that office changes next November. So in 11 months, there is every opportunity for us to see its repeal and ultimately its replacement. I yield back.